everybody, it's Mike Johnson back in the audio section of Pwinsider, Elite.com. With WrestleMania just a week away, who better to talk to about WrestleMania and, of course, his new film, Pro Wrestlers vs. Zombies, the one and only WWE Hall of Famer, Roddy Piper. Sir, how are you today?
A box of fluffy ducks. That's quite a sentence from WrestleMania to Pro Wrestlers vs. Zombies. There's a range there.
There is a range there.
There's a range. There's no depths I won't stoop to. Being the true greatest villain in the history of professional wrestling, I just want to keep my reputation, you know.
It's a pretty big weekend for the Pro Wrestlers vs. Zombies camp. The big premieres this weekend in Parkersburg, West Virginia. They've got screenings in Cleveland. They've got screenings in New Orleans over WrestleMania weekend. They're running Michigan and Detroit next couple of weeks. I've seen the film. Obviously, we had the film and you at the Pro Wrestling Film Festival a couple of months ago in New York City, and I thank you again for coming out to that.
Yeah, it was fun.
We had fun that night. What first brought you to the project? Because, obviously, with horror, there's a wide range of quality with horror films. But this is like a really fun movie. So I was curious what first interested you and brought you over to the project.
Hacksaw, Jim Duggan, and I became friends in Legend House. And, because I don't have any friends. And when I found out Hacksaw was doing it, man, Kurt Angle, and then they had some, like, up-and-comers, the top of the Indies League, like Ryan Rain and, there's another great kid, Mike Facade. Just some really up-and-comers. It was just, to me, it was always just a comedy. It was some kind of lies in the Hell Comes to Frogtown. Just, eat some popcorn and laugh. And that's just kind of the way it was put to me. And there was, some guys, of course, that I have a lot of respect for. And it was just a fun project, not to be taken. And not everything I do is like, toil and trouble, cauldron bubble. It was just fun to do.
Now,
just kill a bunch of zombies, man.
I love there's a scene in there, I don't want to give too much of the film away, but there's a scene in there where you end up with a coconut in your hand. And obviously that echoes the famous Piper's Pit with Jimmy Snuka. Was that something that was improv on the set or that you came up with? Or, was that something that was specifically written for you? Because a lot of the greatest stuff that you did on Piper's Pit and in the ring, obviously from that era, was improvised because you were feeling the crowd, you were just going with the flow. I was curious how much improv did you do in terms of dialogue and ideas for the film?
Dialogue was proof. A lot of improv in the dialogue. The coconut. It was an improv to this point where somebody said, "Hey, let's go get a coconut," because being honest, like, what's a coconut doing in the jail? It was kind of like, once you get that and you go, and I think you and I just discovered that in New York. Somebody said, "So what's a coconut doing there?"
Yeah.
I'm going to hit somebody with it. You're thinking too much. So that kind of stuff was just improv from the point of, hey, somebody go get a coconut. Okay, put a coconut here. What else can happen? Okay, let's make this work. And so you're just kind of making the scene work. So not true improv, like I just happened to grab a coconut and do it. But it's like, well, what can we do here? And then we just ran around and got it, and away we went. A lot of it was one take.
The WrestleMania, obviously, the 30th event is going to be next week. So I'm curious for you. Obviously, WrestleMania 1, Mr. T. WrestleMania 3 with Adrian Adonis, to me, in my opinion, still big iconic moment. I still laugh every time I see you kiss Howard Finkel on the forehead on the way out of the ring. The match with Brett, you've done, is there a favorite WrestleMania moment for you? Because you've had a lot of them. So I'm curious if there's one that stands out the most to you.
That's a good question. I guess, I'm a little different than most everybody else, I guess. I have one WrestleMania moment. I never really looked at people when I went to the ring. I was there to make money, and it's just my style. And you might have thought I was looking at you, but I wasn't. WrestleMania 3, when they came back, the cart came back to take it there. Pontiac Silverdome was such a long ways that they had a little kind of a cart on wheels. And when it came back to get me, I don't know, there was a technical problem, and I was behind the curtain with Vincent. And Vince was there, wait, hot rod, you know. And he said, man, if I can't run there, how am I supposed to wrestle? And I just took off running. And when I got in the ring, holy cow, those people just, like everybody just stood to their feet. And it's the first time I actually looked at them in their eyes. And I think it was Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse Ventura, ringside calling color. And they were saying to themselves, I can't hear you. And like they're sitting right next to each other with cans up. I can't hear you. It was the loudest ovation I think I've ever had just for walking through. And with the fact that I looked at them, it made for a little bit of a personal connection. And I think in all of the wrestling that I've done, that's probably the most, if I may use the word intimate, moment I've ever had. I was pretty much all business in there. And then I kind of let myself go there a little bit. I didn't let myself go. Those people caught me. And I'm glad they did. It was a really wonderful moment. Only God can give you that, you know. Can't predict those moments.
When you see the generation that comes up today, do you think that those guys will get to have the same sort of experience that you have, given how much more confined the creative aspect of pro wrestling is now?
Well, good question. The one thing that, first of all, let me say, I have so much respect for everybody that's in there. Anybody answers the bell these days. I got 100% respect for everybody. The only thing is, like just a moment I spoke to you about, Vincent said, wait, no, I'm going. They don't have that anymore. And if I think the fact that I ran, I was the only guy to run and jump into the ring, helped to spur that ovation. You know, hitting the guy with the coconut, picking yourself up, all those different things. They don't have that latitude. So it's that latitude that allows the magic to come. And I'll just give you one really simple example. If you've got two pianos in a room, and you push this, whatever, C note in one piano, the strings on the other piano ring also. It's magic. If you have a beautiful choir singing, like the Tabernacle Choir, there's notes inside there that become of themselves. It's just fact. When you're wrestling, I'm being as honest as I can about this. When you're wrestling in a kind of a similar way, it's that thing that you didn't know that was going to happen, that you went left and they went right and you went under, and all of a sudden, holy cow, how did I do this? That's how magic happens. You know, how come I don't talk much like this, but you know, you're a good guy, and I will. Take, let's say, I don't care, take Flair and myself. Like, together, as a tag team, we suck. I'm a general, he's a general, he's in there taking comebacks, giving comebacks, doing it all, then he tags, and I do the same thing. As opponents, we're great, because I'm going, come to the left, he's going, no, to the right, and with a fight, just trying to, you see, so Z is a given, but it's how you get there. That's the magic. You got to have the courage to walk in there and not know what you're going to do every night. Then you create magic for the fans. You create that note in there that is created by just the ambience and the surroundings and the moment that happens. You're creating moments. You're not going in there and thinking of a moment and trying to make it work. You're creating magic, and that's the magic of wrestling. is, okay, ZZ. All right. But how do you get that? That's a fun part. And I think that, with all due respect, these guys are great. But I think if I could say to the establishment, if you could just let these guys go a little more, just let them loose a little bit, that they would even be greater than they are now, and they're great now.
Do you as an actor, is it harder to have that same leeway that you had as a wrestler? And are the sort of the spider sense that you have as a performer that makes you a great pro wrestler? Does that help you in acting, or does that hurt you? Because it's similar, but it's different, because one is more outward, and obviously acting is more inward, in terms of the way emotions are played. So how does that help you?
Well, it doesn't. It's horrible. Wrestling is explosion. Acting is implosion. So a lot of times, especially guys that have been, just kind of new to wrestling, maybe 5-10 years, and they take their wrestling skills over the moves, it doesn't work. They're just shouting at each other. As far as being able to create that magic on screen, that's more difficult, because depending on the director, and if I change a line, maybe I'm making it up with 2 or 3 other actors. If I all of a sudden change a line on the fly, they don't know where they're going to be. And so there's a lot more, and I'm not controlling them. Where if I'm in a wrestling ring and I do something and I can see a fallout going to be this, I can grab that fallout and make something of it. If I'm doing a movie and I say a line, I'm all out of bubble gum and there's fallout and somebody else is supposed to be saying something, there's not that much I can do about it. I think in acting, the way they get it is, cut. Okay, let's do it again, cut. And then they put it in the editing department, and that's possibly where that magic is more found. However, at the same time, with the great actors, they can find those moments on the screen, and that's what makes them so great.
When we screened Pro Wrestlers vs. Zombies in New York, one of the highlights of the film festival afterwards was you did a Piper's Pit with Cody Knotts, the director, and one of the things you did was you took him to task for the film, which was still in the editing process. Are you happy with the film now? Do you feel like that Pro Wrestlers vs. Zombies is where you'd like it to be in terms of entertainment value for the audience?
Truth is, I haven't seen it since.
Oh,
no. Okay. So I'll be seeing it with you, I guess, tomorrow night.
Right.
And we took. I'll tell you why. Not to be mean to that director, but he's first-time director, and there was a lot of on the set. Well, people will know that, and like the coconut, for instance. Well, people will know, and all this justification. You can justify anything all day long, anything. You can justify murder until it happens. And then, so I did a Piper's Pit on him. He got hot, but he didn't have anything to say because he was wrong. And one of the guys in the crowd says, how'd the coconut get in the jail? Well, you want to answer that one, Mr. Director? Because, when you ask me these questions, for instance, with the coconut, and the fans go, the coconut, it goes on Roddy Piper. It doesn't go on Cody Knotts. So it was just a chance to, I actually got love, and, a peculiar word in this one, to show them that, hey, what you do on that screen, and when you go away and you edit it and you don't show me and you put it up there and you think you're great, well, these people are telling you you're not so great. So let's all get together on it and make it better. Let's not just sit back and justify why things are so bad in China. It's like, Mr. Director, it's my name you're playing with. Get it right. Oh, you don't understand? Just a second. I'm in New York. Sit down. And New Yorkers are great, right? And those guys tore into him, too. And I think it was a great education for him. And also, it's like, maybe be a little vain, but vain for a good reason. It wasn't easy to become Roddy Piper. So I don't need you, Mr. Whoever you are, Director Cody Knotts, in your first film, taking any real estate value off Roddy Piper that he didn't himself do. It was too hard to get, you know. Too many guys. You know what I've done. I know what you've done. You know what the business is, and I know what the business is and what we both sacrificed. That director doesn't know. I think the one great thing about Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies, I'm very grateful, is our audience, you know. They know that we're playing, and they're just taking it as a comedy, and it's the greatest way to, and we're just entertaining them and having fun and loving them. It's no more than that. It's not Gone with the Wind. And thank God we got the crowd that we do, because they understand that, and that makes it very cool.
I know you got to run, so I'll do two more quick questions with you, and then we'll get out of here. I thank you again for your time. You said it wasn't easy being Roddy Piper. Is there a moment where Roddy Piper, the performer, and the person knows that it's okay to stop fighting and just relax? Because one of the things that was great about you as a performer and as a person is you started as basically as a street kid, and you worked your ass off and you hustled your ass to become one of the biggest wrestling stars of all time. When do you, and maybe you haven't yet, when do you allow yourself that moment to go, all right, I made it. I don't have to fight with everybody. I don't have to fight for every inch anymore. Or maybe that moment hasn't happened yet.
Oh, that's a good question, champ. You know, they just finished a documentary on me. Years they've been following me. And I don't like it at all. I hate it, matter of fact. I know they're going to show it. It's going to show a lot of ugly. You know, you see Rod, you know, behind the scenes and some of the things he goes through or brings upon himself. I don't think that, I think you're correct, sir. I don't think that the guy has figured out it's okay. You got to slow down. You know, I have four of the most, in my opinion, the most beautiful children in the world. Let me just qualify it by saying this. When I got into the ring, I'm married 31 years now, and my youngest is going to college to be a doctor. And I raised 4 children, 31 years. That's hard to do for a professional wrestler. That's really hard to do. And one of the things that you have to do is you got to keep it together out there so that family keeps fed. And separate, you know, so you guys where all of a sudden you say, hey, you don't have to quit fighting so hard anymore. You don't have to fight so hard anymore. That you know, until you just said it. And when I saw this documentary, I hate it. I hate it, man. And I know that it's going to be all over the place. I don't think I've come to that yet. It was so hard. I'm not, you know, it's okay. Everything's hard, but just in my case, when I started, it was so hard. And I'm a little guy in a big man's business. I'm not Andre the Piper. I'm just Rod. And, you know, I fought Andre maybe 50 times. Well, anybody else? No. You know, and it was hard. So I was always fighting. I always had to fight. And it's a really good observation you just said. I think just about now, where I can laugh at myself, like with pro wrestlers and zombies and things, and speak freely and love speaking with you, I'm just coming into that. Maybe because finally my children have grown and that weight maybe is I can lift off my shoulders. But the truth of it is, I have some really hard days because I'm the last living mark in the world. I still believe, and I refuse to break down. I got beat up so bad. So I think the bottom line is I'm the last living mark in the world. And I hate that word. They're fans. I love them. I hate the word marks. But it does apply to me. Good question, though, bud. Thank you.
What's your, you know, obviously you and Vince McMahon have butted heads many a times, and in New York you talked about butting heads with them over the Legends House contract, which obviously has been resolved, so we won't go into that. But CM Punk walked out a couple of months ago, and a lot of people always compare him to you in how he carries himself and how he speaks and how he deals with WWE management. You know, what's your take on him walking out of the company and actually, you know, kind of having the cojones to do that? Where a lot, you know, we talked about the differences in the business in your generation and now. A lot of guys would not do that. So I'm curious what your take on that is.
Okay. I must qualify by saying I do not know any of the circumstances, but I am a Punk fan. He's a great guy and a great performer. When you only have one major league and you have a problem, what are your options? You can go and plead your case, and if that doesn't work, what are your options? And I'll give you an example of Roddy Piper, and I can only hope this, where CM Punk, I hope that he's the happiest man in the world, and if he gets back with the WWE, it'll be great for the fans, and I believe it'll happen, and I hope it will. But, to be more definitive, WrestleMania II, Boxing Mr. T, Nassau Coliseum, third round, all of a sudden, just everybody starts chanting my name. Just, what? Hogan does backflips. McMahon doesn't know what to do. Everybody's in a tizzy. I hear through the jungle beat, no, we'll take care of Piper. Oh, really? WrestleMania 3, Roddy retires and leaves the organization, does a movie called They Live. That was my getting out, because I couldn't fight the establishment. But I knew if I went and I took a chance, I could have a major movie and it hit number one, I'd take a step above everybody, and then come back. So that's what I did. I left because of what happened to me in WrestleMania 2, and that we all know New York was bred and based as a big man's babyface territory. That's what it was, especially back then. You know, go from Bruno to whoever you want to go to. So for myself, I had to get out of there so they wouldn't switch me and then come back in the front door again. I had no other choice. I think, now I got to be careful here because I don't know the circumstances. Just a wild guess at it, Punk didn't have any other place to go. So instead of allowing his real estate to be lowered or take any kind of a chance or to stop any more friction between him and the establishment, the smartest thing was to depart. Let everything calm down. He's young. He's extremely talented. I'm sure the WWE wants him. I'm sure he wants the WWE. But you know what? Sometimes you can't be the most popular guy all the time. Sometimes you got to take a stand. And I think that's what the young man did, and I'm very proud of him for it.
As we mentioned, Pro Wrestlers vs. Zombies have a ton of screenings the next couple of weeks. Parkersburg, West Virginia, New Orleans, all over Michigan. We're going to have a list of them, screenings right under this interview. Next week in New Orleans, you'll also be at WrestleCon signing. So everybody wants to check out where Roddy will be in New Orleans, go to WrestleCon.com. We'll have a link to Pro Wrestlers vs. Zombies Facebook. They announced the film's going to be released through Troma for DVD distribution. And Roddy, I want to thank you for sitting down with us. I have one last question, and it's going to be one I guarantee no one's ever asked you.
Okay.
Zombies versus the They Live Aliens. Who's the tougher opponent?
I think that's got to be the sequel part. I think you're a genius. Zombies versus the aliens. I'd rather give it to the aliens because at least when you see the zombies, you know they're zombies.
There you go.
You know,
get your sunglasses, folks.
I love it. You did your homework. I was very proud to do this interview with you. Thank you for giving me the respect.
Anytime. It's always good to talk to you. I thank you again for putting the Pro Wrestling Film Festival on the map. And you have an open invite anytime you want to come back and talk. I'd love to sit down and talk Don Morocco and Adrian Adonis and all those other great performers with you. Thank you so much. And we wish you nothing. No problem. We wish you nothing but the best of health. And everyone check out Pro Wrestlers vs. Zombies. The link's right under this interview. Until next time, I'm Mike Johnson. Thank you, Mr. Piper.
Pleasure's mine. Thank you, sir.